Hello, dear friends. This is Harvest of Light, Ceifa de Luz in Portuguese, by Emmanuel through the mediumship of Chico Xavier, a book that was psychographed in 1972, published by the Brazilian Spiritist Federation in 1979. As you can remember, the beginning of the book is about a prayer. A prayer, he says, for light. Yes, for illumination. He says, we pray for mercy, for understanding. And understanding is the theme in every single chapter. Chapter 1, we discussed about the charity of understanding. In chapter 2, about forgiveness. Chapter 3, about our emotions. Chapter 4, about our loved ones. Chapter 5, about the lesson of the sword. Chapter 6, it was about our inner life. Chapter 7, tips for those who study Spiritism. Chapter 8 was about speaking of Spiritism. Chapter 9 about time and the waste of time. Chapter 10 about those who are sick in our own house. Chapter 11 about the real wealth. Chapter 12, the narrow door. Chapter 13 about the fields in the world. And Chapter 14, fraternal indications. Today we are in chapter 15. The book has 65 chapters. We're only 50 chapters away. It doesn't matter, we have eternity. So 50 more days is nothing compared to eternity. So chapter 15, as I gave you time to come in. Hello, friends. What a joy, isn't it? To express our joy is vital in life. Many people hold on to their feelings because we were repressed so much in our childhood. But Jesus taught us to express our joy. What is joy if you don't express it? Right? How can we express joy? In a smile, in a laughter. Now with Facebook, with likes, hearts, emojis, beautiful. We're learning to express ourselves. We're getting out of this repression phase, getting into thinking of what we feel. When you see lots of emojis, you think, what does this look like? Is that how I want to express myself? You see the beauty of the world we're living in. It's progressing. It is progressing. And today, talking about progress, chapter 15 is about the conquest of compassion. Think about this. Do you think compassion is something that you acquire or something that is born with you? Nature versus nurture, the very question of ancient times. Well, Spiritism is going to give us an answer. So let us read, learn from Professor Emmanuel, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay, friends? Welcome, welcome, dear souls. Now you're here, let us grow, right? Conquest of compassion. Emmanuel quotes from Paul in 1 Timothy chapter 4, item verse 7. Train yourself to be godly. No known achievement reaches the spirit without support in practice. A great music performer would not stick to such definition without long discipline-based exercises. A champion in sporting events cannot stand out simply dreaming of victories. In the spiritual gifts, the principles governing our acquisitions are the same. If we want piety to enlighten us, it is imperative to exercise understanding. And understanding does not come to us without us making an effort. Let us therefore accept our difficulties as precious occasions of teaching, above all in the relationship with one another. In this sense, those who oppose us are shown to be the best instructors. If someone commits a fault, let us reflect on the mental illness that dictates the behavior. If a friend abandons us, let us imagine how much he has suffered in the process of misunderstanding that led him to turn away. Think of the sick dissatisfaction of those who make themselves pursuers, or in the pain of those who indulge in this or that type of guilt. Compassion is the door that opens in our feeling to the light of true love. However, let us observe, no one acquires piety without building it. Believe it or not, it has been 15 chapters that Emmanuel repeats the word understanding. At the foundation of life for humans, lies the secret, understanding. But he's saying this to us. It's not going to happen without an effort. It's not going to happen. And that's where we most often fail, because we think that if I don't have inside of me, there is no other way. Well, Spiritism is telling us a very revolutionary story. He's saying, you and I can learn to be compassionate. It's learned. It is learned. We were not, boom, we were created with the seed of it, but not with the development. We are the co-creators. We need to mold, sculpt, sculpt, sculpt. I'll give an example. Last chapter, we talked about the exercise, right? Feel the present. The present is a present. Find the gift in the present. And today, did you do the exercise, friend? Today, I spent the day focused on this. What an interesting exercise. Sometimes you are like in the most ordinary place, in the most ordinary activity of the day. And you know what I found out? I'll share with you. That's my highlight to you, okay? Feel free to share how you found the gift in today's day. I was cooking for dinner, and then I decided to make a dish with lemon. So I was pouring olive oil, some salt, lemon, and when I saw the matching of the colors and how they were interacting, I almost felt like, oh my gosh, what a blessing to be able to see the mixture of the colors, the mixture of everything that is here in this plate. Fascinating. Something that seems so trivial, so ordinary, became extraordinary. Why? Because of my focus. Because the focus of ours. So the gift in the present in the present. When we're cooking, and then we start observing that our hands are moving, and they obey our commands. Do you think this is trivial? No, it's not. Because people who have strokes, depending on the consequences of the stroke, they cannot move their limbs well. So, for us, observing the minute details and the beauty on everything is to be mindful, to be present, and enjoy the beauty of the moment we're living in, right? So let's go back to Emmanuel's explanation. Paul said to Timothy, remember, Timothy was young. When you go back to Paul and Stephen, we know that Timothy was learning, and Paul was tutoring him, and he advised him, saying, train yourself to be godly. This is so profound. Next time you look at yourself in the mirror, train yourself to be godly. There's always something in you that is yet to sprout, to bloom, to fructify. There's always something. Work on this. Allow yourself to present the new in you. Surprise yourself. Believe in the new. That's why we need to study ourselves, who we are, to understand precisely what we need to train ourselves with. Right? Right, friends? So he says, beginning, no known achievement reaches the spirit without supporting practice. You see somebody who is patient. You think they acquired patience where? In a store? No. They were born just like this? Yes. No, no, no. They worked on it many lives. You think the scientist today who is a Nobel Prize, you think this is the first life he's a scientist? No, of course not. It's impossible, because we're talking about the works of genie. They became experts through many, many, many years. Now let's talk about relationships, the most critical part of us. Do you think people establish solid relationships out of the blue? No. They work on it. And I think that's the hard part of it all. Because we are living in a day and age that people say either it's my way or the highway. Nobody wants to work. There's no commitment to supporting one another. There is an exchange of interests. Usually in relationships, people say, oh, I love this person. I'm going to get married to this person. Why? Oh, he's so hardworking. He's so intelligent. Oh, he has such a good job. Oh, that's the reason why. Is that the reason why you're getting married to this person? Oh, I'm getting married to her because she's really loving and she cares. She's very dutiful. Is that the reason why you're loving her? It may not work, because those are not solid reasons to stay together. Are you with the person, and is the person with you because you want to help one another? Grow the other parts that are not already beautiful? Aha, that's the secret. So it's not about the plus, it's about the minuses. It's about the minuses in relationships. Of course, we are attracted to somebody because of the plus. The pluses in life. But if we don't see the minuses, we just cover up, are just in love, but do not feel love, it will fail. If both are not daily committed to support each other in bringing themselves up from the minuses to new pluses, we won't make it into new relationships. And that's why it's hard nowadays. We're living in an era where people want instant gratification, good sex, laughter, entertainment. So it's easy at first, and when we have commitments, when we have responsibilities, or as people say, when we need to eat a bag of salt together, what do? Bye-bye. Next. Some other people are abusive. They see the diligence of others. They see how responsible the partner is, how diligent, how caring, and what do? They sit back, relax, enjoy the show, abuse, and they expect that the others are going to be maternally or paternally caring for them. In those cases, it's going to be pretty hard. Often, it becomes toxic. And in unhealthy relationships, it will be very hard for us to stay for too long. So what do we need to do to power boost ourselves and our relationships, where they are friendship relationships or romantic relationships, work relationships? If there's always understanding, and understanding what? That we are evolving, that we are we're mortal spirits, that we are progressing, then we're gonna make it. Because then I see the fault of the other and I tolerate. And I am patient. I don't give up. I keep myself there as a support system. Let's go back. He says here, in spiritual gifts, the principles governing our acquisitions are the same. If we want compassion to enlighten us, we need to exercise understanding. And understand does not come to us without making an effort. Where is understanding processed in our brain? Here, the prefrontal cortex. It's about discernment, decision making, all those components and much more. It's about reasoning. It's about reasoning. So if I am somebody who doesn't want to make that effort to think, I won't be able to boost my understanding. Look at the animal kingdom. Instincts. Understanding is not there yet. It requires awareness, consciousness, continuous consciousness, which is only present in the human kingdom. Leaving the animal kingdom, entering the human kingdom, we are supposed to acquire new levels of understanding. Right? Levels. What we don't know today, what we don't understand today, we will understand someday. Hopefully sooner than later. If and only if I apply myself into it. What is compassion then? From understanding to compassion. Understanding is a step closer to compassion, and then compassion. Compassion is not only understanding, but feeling. Feeling with passion what others are going through. It requires empathy. So, psychopaths don't have compassion. When we go back to the martyrdom of Jesus, those who crucified him, they didn't have compassion. When parents spank their children, they don't have compassion in their hearts. Because kids are more fragile. You're not supposed to hurt, to abuse, to spank those who are more fragile. Nobody imagined the more fragile. It's abusive, an abuse of authority. We can't. There's no compassion there. Previous generations, you think the world is getting worse? I think it's getting better. Because, do you agree? It's getting better. Because in the past, the previous generations didn't feel for little kids what we feel nowadays. We look at them with tender eyes, with kinder eyes. In the past, people didn't used to love babies as they do nowadays. It wasn't that beautiful to be a baby. Yes, hopeful, but who cares? It's noisy, it's bothering, it's loud, and it's messy. And sociology shows to us that in different cultures, in the past, children were looked as a bother. Still, there are some people who feel this way. And there is the greatest sign of the lack of compassion for those who are more dependent, fragile. We are growing ourselves into another type of human being, hopefully a compassionate one. And that is a conquest not only of the individual, but of the whole society and humanity on earth. The more we talk about it, the more we study about it, the more we reason about it, the better will be. Exactly, the better will be. That's why Emmanuel said, Chico, stop the physical phenomena. Stop wasting time in those meetings. Let us do something else. Let's psychograph the books. People didn't understand because it was so cool. And, you know, you are a medium of physical effects. You can mesmerize people. But then you don't educate people with physical effects. You don't. You don't. How do we change our way of thinking and feeling? By being coached. Since we don't have extraordinary coaches all around the world all the time at the availability of everyone, books become the coach. Look at this book. Ceifa de Luz, Harvest of Light. Our coach for 66 days. Because I'm including the preface. And we're going to that lesson and we're like learning new things, deepening, refining our way of feeling. So, effort and repetition. That's what he's saying. Effort, repetition. Effort, repetition. Effort, repetition. And then we get it. Effort and repetition, as André Luiz said in the book Evolution in Two Worlds. And in that sense, he says, the difficulties in our lives become the greatest occasions for us to learn, especially in relationships. That's where we're going to boost our understanding and our compassion. He begins by talking about those who oppose us and become the best instructors. Why? Because they are going to point out to things that are going to make us think. And you go back to your house and you say, am I like this? Mamma mia, I don't think I am, but why are they seeing me this way? Maybe they are seeing a personality of the past, but is it still strong in the present? So let us put a pause and talk about this. What happened to the personalities of the past? Have they disappeared? Are they archived? Or are they so present that you don't feel like actually reincarnating? You just feel like going back in time. Many people would push a button and go back to the past. So we need to observe. Some tendencies are conditionings from the past. The instinctive tendencies that Kardec mentions in the Spirit's book when he talks about reincarnation. Those things that are fast and automated for us. Somebody says it and I'd say that. In that occasion, I feel this. For example, fears, phobias in general, right? That feeling of guilt that we can't explain. So we need to understand ourselves in order to learn how to merge this personality of the past with this one while archiving things that are not needed. Sometimes some personalities of the past are so detrimental to us that we should ask the good spirits to help us zip, like in a computer, or to uninstall that program in our minds because it wasn't useful. Like Divaldo Franco said, when he founded the Mission of the Way, one of the first waves of children he adopted, in that there was a little boy who was 4 years old, and for nothing he would find a way to get a knife and threaten colleagues, friends, little as he was, 4, only 4. And he would threaten teachers, the caregivers. Divaldo would talk to him very kindly. And then Divaldo said he understood that he was before somebody whom in a very previous life used to be a murderer. For him, he used to say to Divaldo, I want to use the knife because I want to feel the hot blood in my hands. That's how much used he was to killing. So Divaldo talked to him like Professor Euripides Barçanufo recommended to all of us. Talking eye to eye, spirit to spirit. It's not the child. Saying you were sent here for you to contain yourself, to transform yourself. Let us help you. Whenever you feel the impulse, come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. He was able to be educated and to become a wonderful artist. One day, past the day that he was emancipated, there were a few years in which Divaldo didn't see him. One day he comes and says, I want to show you something. And he shows to Divaldo Franco his exhibit in a gallery. He became an artist. An artist. So it's very interesting because for us, it's vital to recognize this personality of the past. Right, Wagner Jr.? We can certainly talk, okay? Rest assured, my friend. So, for us, Emmanuel is telling us, when somebody commits a fault, let us reflect that that person has a form of mental illness. When a friend abandons us, that friend has suffered some form of misunderstanding. And there are many spirits who cooperate in the process of misunderstanding. Think of the 6 dissatisfaction of those who make themselves pursuers, or in the pain of those who indulge in this or that type of guilt. It's not easy. At the end of the day, we're going to be able to feel a lot of compassion for everybody whom we meet. That does not mean that you're going to allow yourself to be abused. No. That just means that you understand and you won't take offense. That's beautiful in English. Take offense. It's not personal. It's the way they are. But understanding ourselves and having self-compassion is the beginning of it all. We need to understand ourselves to feel compassion. Scale 0 to 10. Where do you think you are in terms of compassion? 0 to 10. Okay? 0 to 10. 0 being no compassion, 10 being very compassionate. Where do you think you are in this moment in your life? What is missing? What else do we need to do for us to boost that compassion? Practice. How do we practice? By reflecting, Emmanuel says. Understanding the scenario, using our reasoning. We need to ponder, get the facts, put it all together, and analyze. As Kardec says in the Medium's book, observe the facts, analyze the language, to reach conclusions. It's valid to create hypotheses and then research, especially when it is in regards to ourselves. Why do we have these instinctive tendencies? Observe our previous lives. So here goes a very good tip, huh? Next time you go to sleep, ask your spirit guide to lead you into a therapy session in the spiritual realm, explaining to you, explaining to us what we don't understand yet. If we are willing to make this effort, you bet they will help us. What do you think, friends? Is it exciting? So that's the exercise of the next 24 hours. Let us boost our understanding. Let us ponder the facts, reflect on them, and reason them so we can see from different angles, as if we have different cameras and we are seeing the same scenario from different cameras, understanding completely different details. One day I saw a picture about Prince, what is his name? Prince William from England. It's so interesting that they were showing to us what the power of perspective. And they showed one picture when he was doing something like this, but you could see only like a finger. And when they turned the other camera, there were 3 fingers. He was talking about something related to soccer. So this is the power of analyzing from different angles and understanding ourselves. Do you remember the woman of the well? Jesus came to see her and said, I have a living water, and with this water you'll never be thirsty again. And talked to her about the many affairs she had. She tried once and twice, 3 times, 4 times. She was thirsty for love. She meant well, but she didn't understand herself. Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? We need to ask ourselves. Ask about the depth of ourselves. Often, people are frustrated because they don't know who they are. Right, Lívia Moraes? This is the Zumba therapy, the Zumba of the soul. We're trying from different angles, dancing and seeing life from different angles. That's the exercise, right? So, as we end this chapter, we're preparing for the next one. The next one is about 16. It's very interesting. It's about freedom. It's interesting because from compassion, we feel freer. Because we're not stuck in the lack of understanding and in the lack of affection. Because once we understand, we're able to embrace the scenario and not push away. We need it more than ever in the world. More understanding, more compassion, less judgment. So tomorrow, God willing, we will be back. Chapter 16 is going to be about freedom. And he says that Jesus came to bring us freedom. And he says there is no freedom and respect without obligation and effort. I'm going to remind you that in, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, August 19th, there will be a beautiful event by Faith in Children. Raquel Murray is with us, and they are organizing this event to boost their program of mindfulness for children. We recommend it and would really, really recommend for those who are in the area or nearby to go and support it all, friends. It's vital. These are beautiful things that cannot be put aside. Raquel Murray, go to faithinchildren.org or talk to Raquel Murray. Support it because it's an opportunity to do physical exercise, make new friends, and learn more about the beautiful things that are happening in the world. And we're not paying attention. Let's focus on the good, do the good, and boost our understanding. Shall we, friends? A big hug, very tight. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, friends. Big hug to each and every one of you. Leonor Pacheco, Andrea Torres, John Da Rosa, Valéria Benfica, Cris Anastasia, Rihanna, Sunshine, Sueli, Renata, Karina, Nora Brasil, Tereza Castro, Sol Souza, Angelita, Valéria Sorge, Maria Helena, João Bosco, Ana Paula, Elisa, Eliza Geisel, Lisa Teles, Lívia Moraes, Alexandra, Wagner Júnior, Kátia, Justine Martiri. Thank you, Rihanna, for your presence and for the beautiful works that you're doing there as well. Big hug to you, to the whole family, Nico, Felícia, your granddaughter, the whole community. A big hug to you, and until tomorrow, God willing.